Hi guys, my name is Jesus, and this week we are not going out and taking pictures. Instead, I am going to review my first roll that I ever shot of Ilford HP5. Ilford HP5 is probably the most well-known and widely used black and white film stock, so I thought it would be cool to talk about the first pictures from my first roll of HP5 that I took almost a year ago. So let's get started. This is my first roll of Ilford HP5, which I shot last winter. Mostly in Sault Ste, but I also went to St. Joseph's Island and I went to Toronto before all this pandemic happened and took some pictures there. Okay, so the first picture that I took is this one of my cat Sully, and I really like it. There's nothing fancy about it. It's not like an amazing picture, but I love my cat and I nailed the focus, which is a thing that I always struggle with when I shoot pictures in 35mm, because you get really used to the autofocus, because nowadays pretty much every camera that you buy is pretty good, especially if it's mirrorless, regarding the ISO and the autofocus function. So yeah, it's not the greatest picture in the world, but I really like it. I am not a big fan of this picture because I like the snowy playground in St. Joseph's Island that I photographed, but I don't like that it kind of mixes with, it kind of blends in with the background, because everything is black and white and it's too saturated. There's a lot of things going on, and I try to take a different picture of this same playground, so I'm gonna show that to you now. And I like this picture a lot more because I framed this playground in the middle of these trees, and the background is not distracting at all. It's actually a frozen lake. So I really wanted to show you guys the other picture and then this one, because I wanted to show you how if you try to like find a different angle, you can make a picture that you didn't like actually work really well. I also don't like this picture that much. This one was taken in St. Joseph's Island again, and at first I thought it would look cool because the sign that I photographed is covered in snow, and I thought that was pretty cool. But again, the background is too distracting. There's a lot of things, a lot of branches and dead trees in the back that kind of just blend in with the sign that I photographed. So it kind of, I don't know, it looks too busy and I don't really like it. I really like this picture. I really like the expression on my friend's face, Owen, but it's not in focus. I try to sharpen it in post, but if you photograph something and it's not in focus, there's no way that you're gonna fool anyone. But overall, if you don't look too closely at it, you can't really tell because he wasn't completely out of focus. And I think this picture looks pretty good. I wish I had taken it a little further away, because I think he's too close to the camera. But overall, I really like this picture. I like how he posed for me and how he's drinking a bottle of pop or soda if you live in the States. I really like this picture. I think it's really cool that there's this dead plant or flower, I guess, coming out of the snow. We found this when we were on a hike, and I just think it looks really cool because like the contrast between the white snow and this dead plant. However, I wish that the snow looked differently. I wish I had taken the time to actually like try to pat the snow and make it look more even and soft, but it is what it is. I think it's a good picture. This next picture is one of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken in my life, because I really like the composition. I really like how small the guy in the picture is, and I also really like the texture in the ice because he's walking on a frozen lake in Grove Cup in Sault Ste. And I don't know, I just really like this picture. I really like the scene. I really like how it feels like he's really isolated, and I love the texture like of the ice. I think it looks really, really cool. There's another picture of my cat. There's nothing extraordinary about this picture. I just like that there's some elements in the foreground out of focus, such as the curtains, and he's again he's in focus, and I love my cat, so that's why I really like this picture. I really like this next picture. It kind of bugs me that there's a light pole in the foreground. I think it kind of breaks the composition a little bit, but I really like the scene. I really like that there's this one guy in the street that stores his bike on like a second floor like that. I thought it looked pretty cool. And like I said, I really like Ilford HP5 because of all the grain. I think it's really nice. It's not super fine, but it's not too much. There's not a lot of grain. There's just like the right amount of grain, and I just really love how the color, or I guess the black and white, gets rendered in this picture. Again, this picture, I really like the texture of the bricks. I love how Ilford makes this picture look, but I don't like at all the composition. I wish I had been like just straight in front of the picture, because I don't know, it just looks weird, and I don't think it's a great picture, but I really do like the texture of the bricks, and that's why I wanted to show this one to you guys too, because I really wish that I had taken it in a different way, because in my opinion, if I had taken this picture like standing right in front of it, it would have been a lot better composition wise. So it looks like we are about to see all the pictures that I took in my trip to Toronto. I really like most of them. So I took this picture at the aquarium. I really like it, but it was really hard to take this picture because even though jellyfish are not fast or anything like that, it was pretty dark, so I had to take this picture at f1.8, and they were moving, and then like the composition could start really well, and by the time that I focused, the jellyfish were gone or in a weird position. So I eventually managed to take this one picture that I really like. I really like how there's two of them, and I just think they are really beautiful creatures, and I am really happy with this picture that I took. I really like this next picture because it was my first street photography picture in a big city, because Sault Ste. is a very small city. There's only like 70,000 people. This is not the best picture in the world, but I really like all the people that you can see and their facial expressions. They're not paying attention to me because there's probably a lot of street photographers down there, so they're probably used to it. But it was my first time doing it, and I really like how it turned out. Okay, so this next picture, again, you probably know by now that I really like playing with symmetry and shapes and lines. So this next picture is definitely one of my favorite pictures of the whole trip, because how I framed the building, or buildings, I guess. I try to match the lines from the buildings with the lines from the streetcar. So I think it makes for a really good picture composition wise, and it's one of my favorite pictures that I took in the trip. This is another one of my favorite pictures of the whole trip. There were a lot of people waiting to get food at this food truck, so it took me a while to get it right, because I just wanted to have one guy. Again, I like to play with like the feeling of isolation in a big city. I love the images on the food truck, and I think it's a pretty good picture. It would be perfect for me if there was not a guy in the background just about to cross the street, but it is what it is, and I think overall it's a pretty good picture. This next picture is one of my favorite street photography pictures that I took, because even though it's a BC street, it looks kind of calm because there's not a lot of people that you can see. Like, yeah, there's a few guys walking down the street on the right side of the picture, and probably some on the left, but they kind of blend in with the buildings and their surroundings. So that's why I really like this picture, because it's like a lot of cool architecture and some cars, and I like the leading lines that go from left to right, from the front of the picture to the back, and I think it works pretty well. I really like the shapes, the symmetry, and the lines of these buildings, and I did have some trouble trying to expose it properly, because the building in the front was really dark for some reason, and then the one at the very back of the picture is a little bit overexposed. It kind of blends in with the sky, but it was hard for me to expose it, like I said, but it ended up looking okay. I think it works really well like that. And this is my favorite picture of the whole trip, but I didn't take it, obviously. That guy that you can see in the picture is me. So what I did is I framed it the way I wanted it, with Caitlin in frame first, and then we switched spots and she took the picture, and I just really like how the city is slightly out of focus and I am just really sharp. I also like how my hair looks in this picture. My hair is straight, but it kind of looks wavy here, and I really like the texture of it. I like how it's not just completely black. You can see some highlights in it, and I really like this picture. So please let me know down in the comments what you thought about these pictures. Maybe tell me which one was your favorite picture or which one you think was the worst picture. And also let me know if you want me to review and talk about different film stocks. I have shot in Portra 400 and I also have shot in Kodak Gold, which I think is underrated. Like, it's a cheap film, but I think it does a pretty good job in the right conditions. And again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you liked the video, and I will see you next week with another one of our regular exploring and photographing Ontario videos.